Hey everyone, Chris here with a stunning new laptop from ASUS. It is called the Vivobook S14 OLED. So it's got a 3K 120Hz OLED. You get those super deep blacks, 600 nits max brightness. It really is nice to use. And a keyboard that is backlit, a larger touchpad with this model, 75 watt-hour battery with 90 watt Type-C charging. It's got Wi-Fi 6E, and you can get either Intel, the Core Ultra models, or this, which is sent out to me. My configuration has the Ryzen 9 8945HS, and it's got the integrated graphics and the Radeon 7080M. Very good, but because the RAM is faster in this, it's 7500 megatransfers now, it's got a little bit of a boost. All-round performance has increased compared to the previous generation. So this is what you'll find in the box: our power cable and the charger, which is very nice and small for a Type-C charger, yet good output. 90 watts, and in just 49 minutes, it'll get that 75 watt-hour battery up to 60%, so that's great. So I like this new sleek-looking design to it. The very simplistic now logo, which is new from them to have it this style, the ASUS Vivobook printing there. It's the other way around because I want to show you what it's like when I open it up. But just before I do, pressing on the lid, so tiny little bit of flex. It's not enough that the keyboard's going to press up against that beautiful OLED screen and end up damaging it. No, they've taken that into account, so you can place this in a backpack with some books or something, and you shouldn't strike that issue of them pressing up together. One-handed. Yes, you can open it up one-handed. So the palm rest also made out of this really nice alloy. I love the finish of it. This darker gray I think looks excellent, matte, but yeah, fingerprints. That's always a bit of a problem. That is there, and you'll be doing this all the time if you're like me. You'll probably be constantly wiping it down with a microfiber cloth. Now the keyboard is excellent. Nice, good size to it, 1.7 millimeters of travel. Yes, the power button, wanted to point that out, is part of the keyboard. It's not completely separate, which I would have preferred. However, ASUS has done something clever. They've made the resistance to this power button a little more than the other keys. So if you're pressing and typing away and you go to accidentally hit the power button instead of delete, you won't actually end up pressing it because you need a little bit more pressure to push that down, which is good. Now this backlit keyboard is a single zone RGB keyboard, and it is using Windows dynamic lighting. So it supports that. You don't need third-party apps to control and change the colors. Right now I've got it set to a light blue with my lights on, a little difficult to see, but I'll turn that off now. And there we go. That is our backlit keyboard. I think looks very good. So you've got different stages. That is off. The first lower level, then we have the mid-level and the highest brightness. On-screen display pops up and tells me that, which is good. And we do have the Windows Copilot button right here. We're seeing that with all the new laptops, 2024 ones, of course, with Microsoft bringing that in. And a larger touchpad now with a new revised model, which is very good, this touchpad. I don't find the cursor is skipping about all over the place. Finer movements are good. I don't feel like I need to go and plug in a mouse. It's one of those touchpads that I would be happy to use all the time. If traveling, I would just leave my mouse at home and go with this touchpad. So very good keyboard and touchpad combo here with the Vivobook S14. On the right side of our Vivobook S14, we have two USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports here. There's a status LED, another one there for the battery when you are charging. And then on the left side, 3.5mm headphone jack with microphone support. The micro SD card slot here makes a comeback, which is really good. Now, the micro SD cards, they do sit in flush, so they're not going to be sticking out and damaged, which I really do hate, but no, they're inside there. And then we have a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-C port, and then, yes, a USB 4.0. So both of those support power delivery, charging up to 90 watts. But with a USB 4 port, we also get the video out, which is 4K, and that is 40 gigabits per second. And our HDMI, now this is HDMI 2.1, so that supports 4K 144 Hz, 4K 120 Hz. I have tested, no problems. Then down the bottom, we have plenty of ventilation along here. Now, ASUS has added a dust filter in here because they know that that is a problem. Eventually, they clog up with dust, and they've taken a few steps to help avoid that problem. It'll make it a lot easier just to vacuum that off with a brush, connection. So a large rubber foot along the bottom right here, 2 rubber feet, and 2 downwards firing speakers. 75 watt hour battery, so very large for a 14-inch laptop, and the cycles that this can handle, well, 1100, 1200 cycles. That's a lot more than the standard typical kind of 800. They've improved upon that, ASUS, which is good. Just like our cooling, so 2 transfer heat pipes right here. The dual coolers blowing the hot air out the back, so the thermals on this do look very good. The newer design, the upgrade in that, and I really like the layout of things in here too, considering the size constraints. It's really well planned out with those full-size ports. Having the Type A's on there is really good, and this is all screwed into place. Of course, the hinges there reinforced. We have a plate that is behind the keyboard. That's why the keyboard has no flex to it and feels very good. Our 2 wireless antennas, they are located right here for maximum performance. And you'll note that with the back of the case here, this little strip here, that is plastic. So it's not going to affect those wireless antennas. And so far I found the performance and the speeds of the Wi-Fi 6E, which is located here, soldered on board, has been excellent. So that is not upgradable. The RAM isn't either, but it is very quick RAM. This is the only way we can get the very fast 7500 mega transfers, which is going to aid in the integrated performance with the Ryzen 9, the 8945HS that this does have. There's also a Ryzen 7000 series, and you can get up to 32 gigabytes of that fast RAM, which I have with this configuration, and 1 terabyte SSD up to that. And this is a PCIe 4.0 SSD, and it's the 2280 size. So great to see they've used a standard size and not the more smaller 2242 or 2260. So there are 2 versions of this screen, a Full HD Plus version and this model here, which has a resolution of 3K, 16 by 10 aspect ratio, 14 inches. The resolution is 2880 by 1800p. So everything is looking very sharp indeed on the screen. Maximum brightness is up to 600 nits. Blacks look super deep, and they are true black 600 certified too. So the refresh rate, 120 Hertz. So when I move things about, it does look very, very fluid. I'll just drag this box about here a little bit so you can see what I mean. And on the battery, you can put it on to 60 Hertz, which it'll do automatically, or just go and overwrite that and set it to 120 Hertz, which is what I'm doing right now. So the claim is with the screen, 100% of DCI-P3 color gamut coverage. And I've done a quick little check here with my Spider X, and you can see that we do have color P3 color gamut coverage, 100%, Adobe RGB 97%, NTSC is 96%, sRGB 100%. Kind of expected this kind of coverage with an OLED. Now it is glossy, so you are going to see some reflections to it. Right now I don't have any lights shining directly on it, so that's the downside of it, but it really just makes up for it with those stunning colors, those deep blacks. A very nice screen indeed here with their Lumina OLED panels. Let's be honest here that speakers in laptops are normally terrible, right? Well, in this laptop, they aren't bad. The Vivobook S14 certainly is above average when it comes to those speakers. So it is sound by Harman Kardon, and it is Dolby Atmos certified as well. They put out a decent amount of bass for such a thin and light laptop. Volume is also good, I can tell you that much. And I'll give you a sample now what they sound like to give you an idea. Webcam and microphone sample now. So they are all using full HD webcams with good quality, as you can see, and the microphones are the built-in microphone that you are listening to. So dual array microphones, and through the settings, as I showed you, you do have some options there to set up directional, 360 and whatnot. Now it does have IR, so infrared for Windows Hello login, so you can just use your face to log in. And this is across all of the models too, so not just the Vivobook S14 OLED, but all the other models too. Now we can use the Microsoft Studio options here too for our webcam. For example, set this, which is eye contact mode. You may be looking down at the keyboard, but what it does is make it look like you're looking straight at the camera the whole time, which is a handy feature. And even this, which is blur the background now, so I can blur it out if I've got maybe a bit of a messy room or office or something like that. Well, it's another handy feature to have. So good webcam, good microphones with the Vivobook S14. And here I am in Windows. I'm screen capturing right now because it's just going to be a little bit easier for me to show you some additional information that you may want to know. While I can't show you any benchmarks whatsoever, there is still quite a few things I can show you that I think is nice to know. So the drive, that's from Western Digital, known brand, that's our PCIe 4.0 drive. And we do have the Radeon Graphics 780M. Still in 2024, in my testing, it's still the best integrated graphics you can get. So very good option to have. And a MediaTek for our Wi-Fi 6E. That is the card. You can see the RZ616. Now you will see that the processor, our APU, is listed here 16 times because it has 8 cores and 16 threads. Now a little more information on that particular chipset. The Ryzen 9 8945HS, very high end from them. So 45 watt part. The base clock is 4 gigahertz and it can then turbo up to 5.2 is the highest. Now you see the RAM configuration that it's either going to be DDR5 5600 and that would be SODIMM, or what we have, the onboard soldered RAM, which is clocked a lot higher, and it's the low power DDR5X and the 7500. So it's very quick. And I'll just show you there just to confirm those speeds. So really good for storage, and you can allocate, really good for graphics. You can allocate more to that 780M if you want, which I'll show you shortly. So we have the MPU with this, it is on board, and that's up to 16 tops the performance from the MPU, but the total is 39. So if you're running AI applications and things, it's very handy to have. The graphics core count, the same there as always for the 780M, that it is the 12, and it's 2800 megahertz is the fastest there. So because I can't show you any synthetic benchmarks, there's a few other things to show you. That's to do with their software. So there's a lot in here. I won't go through completely all of it. You've got your system updates. You have a lot of other things in here like your devices and customer service, whatnot, support, warranty. But what interests me, at least this early preview on hands-on, is some of the things we do have. So battery care mode, this is really good to see. There's still brands out there that don't offer this, like my HP Omen gaming laptop. I can't set a battery limit, and what this is going to do is limit the charge to 80% to improve the battery's longevity, the lifespan. So this is good. Instant full charge mode, well, I can have that on too if I want. Now we have performance profiles. This is controlling the fan speed and I believe also the power limit too. Now you can simply just press FN and function that is, and F to go through them. So we have the performance mode, standard mode, and the whisper mode. So whisper mode is the best for keeping it very quiet and great for battery longevity again, just squeezing the maximum hours out of it. And if you want that real speed, then you put it into the full speed mode. There's a few other things in here, pretty self-explanatory, like the hibernation optimizer, but this one, the memory allocation for the GPU, great to see this option. So you don't have to jump into the BIOS to do this like you do with some other brands of laptops. So you can dedicate here right up to 8 gigabytes. This is going to aid gaming, maybe video editing as well. Well, it does. It helps a little bit. Now it's going to scale anyway. On automatic, it will scale up and use what it does need. But doing so, some games run better and some games have a lot of trouble if they have less than 4 gigabytes allocated of the graphics memory there. Now there's options for AI noise cancelling microphones. You have authentic recording, that's when it's off, directional mode, 360, conference cancelling there, and even AI speaker cancelling mode there too, just for those loudspeakers. Different sound modes, so this is basically like a graphic equalizer, but we do have Dolby Atmos with this, and you see that there are some other options there for volume to boost it up even more. Now with the sample that I've played in this video, I didn't bother using that. OLED care, this is one thing that's really good that I do like. So you can hide that taskbar automatically, the transparency effect, and pixel refresh. So this is another thing that is really going to help to stop any problems with burn-in. And this too, flicker-free dimming. So this only works on the high brightness modes above 60%, but I don't see any flicker with the screen whatsoever. You have the splendid modes for your color gamut. So this is really good. You can just keep this on, well, I keep it on normal, actually, I find it's fine. and vivid and other options there. You've got this target mode, okay, for the brightness to achieve, a display refresh rate, and connectivity, touchpad, and others are pretty straightforward. So there's a lot of settings in there. So there's going to probably be a lot of comments about this. You didn't benchmark and show Cinebench, you didn't show Geekbench, you didn't show gaming, you didn't show this and this. Unfortunately, as I mentioned probably about 3 or 4 times in the video, is that this is an early prototype. It's not a final version, so it wouldn't be right for me to show you benchmarks that could be completely inaccurate there. The performance of that Ryzen 9, I can tell you this, the 8945HS is very good. If you look at the performance compared to the previous generation, it's not a huge leap up. If you run those synthetic benchmarks on, say, a 7840HS, it will be similar to this model depending on, of course, the power limit that is set. Now, integrated graphics here, because of the faster RAM, the 7500 mega transfers versus, say, the 6400 we had previously, does show a bit of an improvement there, and great that you can increase the allocation of dedicated RAM to the Radeon 7080M. The 75 watt-hour battery life is looking very promising. Again, I can't give you any exact figures here, but in my testing, checks out. It does check out. Build quality, the weight of it, it is a quality machine, and I love the look of it. I love that simplistic look to it. It doesn't really have anything that's been overdone. Now, what are the things that I don't like about it in my week of testing it out now? Very, very minor. Well, maybe not so minor actually for someone like me that's a little bit fussy with how their tech looks. Fingerprint magnet. It just picks up fingerprints like crazy. You wouldn't believe it. If I handle this now for just 10 minutes talking with my video here, it's covered in fingerprints. I really wish it was more fingerprint resistant. At least the black color here is terrible for showing that. Micro SD card reader, great to have. I would have preferred a full SD card slot size, but I guess they had some space constraints there. Loudspeakers sound really good. The screen, the touchpad, the keyboard, the onboard software is good as well. There's nothing that is like useless or additional bloat, because the battery care mode is actually very useful to have. The OLED care thing is good too, and the rest of it. So all up, it's looking like a great package here. Thank you so much for watching my hands-on early just preview of the ASUS Vivobook S14 OLED.